I'm Pat Jackson, and I would like to welcome you to Cupertino's own local television program, Ask the Mayor. And here to bring us highlights of last evening's City Council meeting, Mayor Phil Johnson. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Pat. How you doing? It was a busy meeting that we had the other night. It's difficult to pick 2 or 3 items to talk about. But I thought that for those people that live in the Rose Blossom area, I'd mention the fact that on the agenda there had been some temporary traffic measures that were put in, and it was recommended that the City Council continue on a permanent basis the turn prohibitions between the hours of 6 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 7 p.m. and to continue the selective enforcement that we've been doing in that area. The decision was to continue that on an indefinite period going into the future. So that should make those people happy. And then 2 issues that we had quite a few people show up on towards the end of the evening. Didn't occur to about 10 o'clock at night. But there were 2 ordinances for our consideration. One was an ordinance to require a 60-day notice of rental increases of landlords.
Rental increases for the city.
That was somewhat controversial because the state only requires 30 days. So that was one issue. The other issue was an ordinance limiting residential rent increases to once every 12 months after initial increases. The 2 were on the agenda at the same time. The council considered the 2 ordinances, heard some input from the audience, and decided at this time they had no interest in adopting either ordinance. That what we want to do at this point in time is to allow a mediation program to take place that we've talked about before, and Operation Sentinel will be handling that and will be starting in mid-September. So we want to give mediation a chance before we start taking more drastic measures. So at this point in time, there is no intent to adopt either ordinance.
So this gives citizens and landlords an opportunity to give this a try with Operation Sentinel then.
With Operation Sentinel, we ought to be able to bring people to the table and to negotiate compromises.
Okay.
It's been very successful in other cities, and we hope it will work here.
Should work in Cupertino. So. Don't forget, call 252-4641 and ask Mayor Phil Johnson a question about what's happening in Cupertino. He'll be glad to answer your question. I would like to point out, too, Phil, that you're wearing a nice gray suit tonight, but last night, as I was watching the City Council meeting, that isn't what you had on at all.
No, we were, I think most people are aware that we do have a sister city in Toyokawa, Japan, and last night we were graced with the appearance of 3 members from Toyokawa, several of which were on their council, and they had met with the council previously the night before, and last night they came to become honorary citizens of Cupertino, and also to briefly observe one of our meetings in process. It's been an active program. We've exchanged a lot of people back and forth. Some people, including council members from Cupertino, have gone back to Toyokawa. And we've also exchanged many high school students back and forth between the 2 countries or cities. It's been a very valuable program to the people that have benefited directly and also indirectly.
So the fact you had a happy coat on really reflected how you felt about it.
That's true. That was a nice gift that they happened to give me.
I might mention that when I got my Cupertino scene this month, I noticed a scene there that was showing Japanese students and American students. So it followed through on exactly what you were talking about.
Now, we just recently received word again that they'll be sending over another 6 or 7 students shortly that will be staying over here. And then in several months, there's been talk about the Madrigal Singers from Monte Vista going over to Japan, so that's being worked out. So it's been a very active program, and John Plungy on our council, if anybody is interested in taking part or playing an active role in the exchange program, ought to contact John Plungy on our council.
Very good. You may be wearing your happy coat again one of these days, I hope.
I may be over there.
One of the things that I think has been a highlight, in addition to the ones that you brought up, Phil, is the fact that we have had a Trivial Pursuit question. Not trivial at all. And last week we had a citizen who actually got the answer to the question and is going to have a free lunch with the mayor, I understand. And what is our question this week?
This week we're going to go real easy on people, but it's a 2-part question. And I think most people can answer this, I hope. The first part of the question is, who is the first woman that was ever elected to the Cupertino City Council? And the second part is, who is the first woman that was ever elected mayor of the city of Cupertino? So and the hint is 2 different people.
2 different people. So you've already given everyone a hint.
Okay, so who is the first woman on the city council, and who is the first female mayor in the city of Cupertino?
Oh, my. All right, call 252-4641, don't forget, and answer this 2-part question for Mayor Phil Johnson, and you will have a free lunch with the mayor. Now, if you answer only one part of the question, he hasn't told me whether you get a half of lunch or no dessert. But we're anxious for people to call and answer the 2 questions.
Good.
So don't forget, give the mayor a call. One of the things that I have noticed the last week or so in the city, Phil, is that many people have spoken to me about the fact that once it's dark, it's very difficult for them to play tennis on the tennis courts here. Are there any plans to make changes in the lighting of the tennis courts?
It's the most timely question you've ever asked. Last night on the agenda, we finally, the Public Works Department has selected a contractor to install lighting. We're going to, believe it or not, it's a fairly expensive project. We're going to be spending about $57,000 to install additional lighting, not only for the tennis courts, but also for the surrounding area due to security reasons. That will be happening shortly. But the final approval was given by the council last night.
Well, it's been a sport that's been very popular with everyone, and for people to be able to use city facilities is especially nice, I think.
And it also helps that area of the park as well in terms of the increased lighting. It's been a project that's been on the back burner for several years.
Good. It's good to hear. All right, let's take a call now. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Good evening, Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Edwin Bellis here.
Can you speak up and repeat your name?
Edwin Bellis here.
Hi, Edwin.
I'm a citizen of Cupertino, and my question is there a ordinance or some concern of the city about neighbors, including even a local school, letting plants which are on the property grow into the sidewalk area where it becomes an impediment to citizens walking and especially young children riding in a bicycle, such as overhanging tree limbs, holly bushes that might scratch eyeballs, and that sort of thing.
Okay, before you go, do you know the answer to our trivia question?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, to try and answer your question, that is a problem. It's a problem for a pedestrian, for a bicycle rider. It's even a problem sometimes for cars that are trying to peer around the corner. If you notice any intersection or any corner in a neighborhood where you feel that the sight or the visibility is impaired, the best thing that you can do is to quickly call the City Hall, ask for the Public Works Department, and we'll send out a maintenance truck, a city crew, to trim the shrubbery back in place. It's an ongoing program. They can't spot everything themselves, so we actually appreciate people calling in trouble spots because it reduces the liability that the city may be exposed to as well. So
Yes, because sidewalks are certainly public property.
that's true.
Yeah.
So if you ever do notice anything, we'd appreciate you calling and telling us.
Well, now, what about not on a curve or something, just on a straight block where the bushes are practically obstructing the total sidewalk?
If it's obstructing the sidewalk, that gets a little. Sometimes that can be a little more complicated because it could actually be doing damage to the sidewalk. Again, we'll send somebody out there and we'll try and trim it back. Often, you'll notice that the trees or the shrubbery will be causing damage to the sidewalks, and we'll repair that as well. And that's the service that Cupertino happens to offer, and it was surprising to me to find out that nearly half the cities in California don't offer that service. So,
yeah. Well, I know I live somewhat close to Eaton School, and even some of their pine trees extend out into the sidewalk area, which those needles can really.
we like to be able to keep it in control. We save money in the long run.
Yeah.
So.
We certainly thank you for calling, Mr. Bellis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Let's take another call, Phil. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Mayor Johnson?
Hello, can you speak up?
Yes. This is Kathleen Peters, and I wonder if you have any information on what is happening with the Mariana property at the corner of Saratoga Danza Boulevard and Homestead Road.
Okay, Mrs. Peters. Do you have an answer to my trivia question?
No.
Okay. The Mariani property, currently there is no activity going on. In the general plan, we zoned that for residential or apartments. The last thing that we heard is that they had approached us asking if they could, instead of having 100% residential, if they could propose a mixed use. We weren't too happy about that because we're concerned about providing more housing for the people in the city. At this point in time, there is nothing before us or has been presented to us, and from what I've heard, that they're not actively seeking to develop that in the near term. So that's all I know at the current time.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the question.
Right now, we would like to ask you to call 252-4641 and ask the mayor a question, or you might have the answer to the trivia question for tonight. Who is the first woman elected to the Cupertino City Council, and who was the first woman mayor? And the prize? Lunch with the mayor. So be sure and call and give your answer to this trivia question.
Maybe it's the prize that's not working.
Maybe that's what. Surely not. Right now, we've had something rather unusual happen in Cupertino that I'd like to talk with you about, Phil. I understand that there was no competition at all in the city council election, and the council made a decision not to hold an election this year. This must be brand new in the way of happenings in Cupertino. Is this the first time such a thing has happened?
It's unusual. It's the first time in the history of Cupertino that all three incumbents filed and were not challenged. Several people did take out papers, but they were never returned. And from what I understand, that is very rare for this to even happen anywhere in the entire county of Santa Clara.
Much less in Cupertino.
That's true. It's tough to say why that happened. I mean, I think we did an excellent job of trying to communicate to the news media, and the news media was very helpful. Several times, each one of the three local papers publicized the fact. The meetings are now televised, and we've been talking about it for the last several months on the televised city council meetings. It's been in the Cupertino scene. So I don't think it was for a lack of awareness. But on the other hand, it's difficult to pinpoint the exact reason why this happened.
But most unusual, and I think I've heard many citizens comment that things seem to be moving along in a very thoughtful and deliberate way in Cupertino, with plenty of citizen input, which may be another reason that citizens took that reaction.
If it could indicate a certain endorsement, or at least satisfaction with the direction that the city is going in. If not that, perhaps it indicates that the people feel that at least they can come and talk, and that there's effective communication between the city council and between the communities. So.
Yes, I think so. Right now, let's take another call. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
This is Kathleen Peters again.
Oh, okay.
I think I just remembered, wasn't Juanita McLaren the first woman on the city council?
Juanita McLaren?
Uh-huh.
Juanita McLaren has never been on the city council.
Okay, she was on
That's
the
a
Chamber
good
of
guess.
Commerce. Okay, Barbara Rogers then was the first woman, the first mayor, woman mayor.
Oh, she got one half of the question.
Okay, you have one half.
You have one half the question. Would you like a half a lunch or a dessert, Kathleen?
I'll keep thinking.
You keep thinking and call us back, because
All
you
right.
certainly have one half the question correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye-bye.
Let's take another call, Phil. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello? Well, we may be having just a little bit of difficulty getting a hold of this caller. Let's try again. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Well, maybe they'll call back. I certainly hope so. Maybe Kathleen's thinking of the question.
She brought up the name of Juanita McLaren, and Juanita's played a very active role in the history of Cupertino. Juanita was never on the city council, but she has played a very significant role in the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, we're going to go to a break now, and then don't forget to call and give your answer to the mayor on the trivia question. Who was the first woman elected to the city council, and who was the first woman mayor? We'll be back soon. Welcome back to Ask the Mayor. This evening, Mayor Phil Johnson is here answering questions from the public when they call in. Don't forget, it's an interactive phone. You can talk to the mayor back and forth when you call in. And we have a trivial pursuit question tonight. Who was the first woman elected to the Cupertino City Council, and who was the first woman mayor? The prize for the answer to this is a free lunch with the mayor. We have one citizen who has won half the question, but don't hesitate to call and give us the answer to both of those questions. You know, one of the things that we've always done as part of our program, Phil, is there is an issue that we discuss right after the break. Something I've heard a number of people talk about in the city is, what can citizens do to ensure that the city develops as they want it to? I often hear citizens say, I don't like this, I don't care for this building, I didn't want that to go up. What can they do if they want to ensure that the city develops in its own way?
Get involved early in the process. There are a couple ways that you can stay on top of the situation. And in the Cupertino scene, we try and give indications of the ongoing status of projects as they come before the City Council. And or projects that not only that are in the process, but are scheduled to appear before the city. So the scene actually is a very valuable document. And the Peninsula Times and the Mercury tend to do a good job in covering the events. But the most especially the important buildings that people tend to recognize go through a very lengthy process. And they can get involved at several different levels, from the Architectural Site and Control Committee to the Planning Commission to the City Council. And we're now requiring that developers also meet with people in the community. So if they hear about something or they have a concern about a certain area, to call the City Council, call one of the City Council members, or call the Planning Department, ask who they can talk to, ask what the status is, and we'll get them involved.
All right. I think those are all good measures to be proactive, to really notice what's going on and be sure your input is given before something happens rather than after. All right, let's take a call now, Phil. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, Pat. This is Iola here, Iola Hendrickson.
Hi, Iola.
This does not concern government. Surprise. We have a rare safety condition which is now unsafe. There's a barrier erected at the end of Owls where it intersects Stelling. It's a dead-end street, but there's a new sign by the YMCA that nobody knows what it means. I guess it's a sign that's in all the DMV things where you get your license. Yes, and nobody understands what it means. Could they simply put up, this is a dead-end street, the big vans and panel trucks go through the bicycle lane on two wheels, and the other two wheels are up on the island. And the other people are making a U-turn in a very, very narrow street, and you come within inches of hitting them.
Okay, so the sign is basically, it says this is a dead-end street, Iola?
It does not say that. It's a new sign that nobody knows what it means except the cab driver, and he has to know.
Okay, well, let me go by and look at it, and I'll give you a call.
It's in gold and black, as most of those
This is Office Stelling near the YMCA building?
The sign is right near the YMCA building, which alerts there's only
How long has it been there?
I would say several months.
Several months? Well, let me go by and take a look, and I'll get back with you on that one.
In other words, the barrier is not sufficient.
Okay.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, thank you, Iola.
Good to hear from you, Iola. Thanks for calling. All right, let's take another call, Phil. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello?
Yes, Jerry Keating calling.
Yes, go
Hi,
right
Jerry.
ahead.
I was trying to answer your trivia question, Phil.
I hope you have the answer.
Well, I'm going to try Kathy Nellis for the first one elected to the
Okay.
council, and Barbara Rogers as the first person made mayor.
Okay.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations, sir. You get a full lunch, perhaps with dessert.
We have a winner.
I'll look forward to it at the regular mayor's luncheon.
I'll see you at Taco Bell, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, thanks.
Well, we definitely have a winner for the trivia question tonight. Right now, let's go right ahead and take another call. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello? Hello, caller. You're on the air. Well, maybe we'll get the call in just a minute.
In case people didn't hear the answers, the answer to the first one was that Kathy Nellis was the first person ever elected to the first female council member, and Barbara Rogers was the first female mayor that was ever appointed to the office of mayor.
So, With that, we know some of the history of Cupertino, and while we call it a Trivial Pursuit question, it certainly is not, is it? I think that that those were very important events in the city of Cupertino. We started on an item just earlier, Phil, and we were talking about what citizens can do to become involved in various ways in the city in a proactive stance before things happen. What are some of the major changes that you see are going to occur in Cupertino in the next few years? And as we talk about citizens getting involved, perhaps they could be alerted to some of those things.
Well, one caller brought up a good example, the Mariani property that borders on the 280 freeway. It's a very large parcel, and although nothing is happening now, that will be a significant development when it occurs. If people are concerned with housing or the quality of housing or what the design is, they ought to get involved. They ought to get involved for another reason too, because the council could be convinced that something else should go into that area. So for that reason, they should be involved and let the council know what they think. So that's one piece. The other piece that's going to be happening very shortly would be the Valco development. Valco is proposing to put in a new hotel that would be built by the Marriott Corporation. Now that's going to be a very significant project, and we're going to we'd welcome people's input early on, not at the last minute. We need to know what people feel about that. And again, right now people have seen the development happening in the center of town, the town center by the Cali property. That still has not been fully developed. It's in the process, and as different pieces come to us, we're going to need input from everybody.
Well, I'm glad you pointed out the different things that are going to be coming up. And right now, let's take a call.
Good.
Hello, caller. You're on the air.
I'm a citizen here in Cupertino who's lived in this area for 25 years, and while I've noticed lots of wonderful things that have changed in the community, I've worried a good deal about the diminishing open space and freshness and greenness. I'm wondering if you have any plans as mayor to try to protect this area from becoming as compact and overgrown as, say, a Los Angeles suburb.
Well, thank you for calling.
Good question. Especially as people do see a lot of development occurring, the concerns do tend to increase about open space. In our general plan, we actually have requirements as to how many acres per number of population of open space that we will have. We have even recently acquired additional land from 2 school closures that have occurred in the community. So we're trying to maintain a very active parks and recreation program. We've been adding to the amount of open space that's in the park area. And as well, we want to make sure that both the city and the county, it's important for people to realize that there's a lot of hillside land that's in the county. We want to make sure that there's very little hillside development, that we want to keep that as rural as possible. And that the development as it occurs, or where we want the intensity or density, whatever word you want to use, we want that to occur in the downtown areas, in the Stevens Creek, De Anza Boulevard intersection, and the Valco shopping section. So that's where we want the intensity to occur, and we do want to protect the open space and add to our park system as well.
Well, that's encouraging. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling.
All right, thank you.
More or less in keeping with that caller's concern is, I hear many people say, what I really moved to Cupertino for was because I liked the open space and I liked some of the features that don't involve so much development. What do you say to those citizens?
Well, that's the hard one. The city's grown up. The whole valley has grown up. I think Cupertino has gone through the growing pains better than any other city in the valley. And as I was indicating in the last call, that we've tried to concentrate the development in certain key or core areas of the community. And interestingly enough, through all the work that we've done in the general plan to try and protect certain areas and allow growth in others, I think we've still been able to maintain, or at least that I think most people in the valley would say that Cupertino still has a rural quality to it. The fact that we're nestled against the foothills, the fact that we do have a fine park system. So I think we've managed to keep a unique quality of life here in the city.
And I'm sure we'll continue to. I think that's going to happen. One of the things that I'd like to mention is, in keeping up with what's happening in the city, when you want to make your opinion known, and we encourage you to do so. Don't forget your Cupertino scene. It tells you what meetings are going to be taking place throughout the city and how you can get involved. There is also a copy of the City Council agenda, which you can obtain at City Hall or talk to the people at City Hall. They'll tell you what's coming up. And of course, don't forget your own Cupertino Courier. The Courier is our local newspaper, and it tells us what's happening in the city and when meetings will occur. So those are all kinds of things that you can do. And I might say the Cupertino scene has changed, and I would say it looks really great. It's bigger.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's bigger. There were a lot of people that were concerned about the size of the print because we were working with a fairly small format before. So yeah, the size was increased. We increased the number of pages. So hopefully it's a little easier to read and we can give you a little more information.
And that was due to a citizen survey. So things do happen when you let the city know how you feel. Don't forget, tune in on September 17th for our next program of Ask the Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Pat.
Good night.